What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Toast Sports Baseball. I'm your host, AJ. We got Joe, our co-host, and man, we made it. Tomorrow's opening day. We're absolutely fired up about this. We've been counting down all off season for this. It's finally here. We're launching this podcast to give you guys a mix of real talk, some fantasy help, some straight up baseball bets, all in one place. But first off, we're going to start out with fantasy baseball. Joe and we've been in a league for a long time, but this is our first year in Dynasty. Hey, man, how do you think you did on your fantasy draft this year?
I definitely feel like I did pretty good.
Okay.
Definitely feel like I did pretty good. There's some things that I definitely wanted. Wanted De La Cruz, but someone took him right before me. But settled with Gunner. I do think it's a little bit of a more interesting dynamic with the minor leagues and having the dynasty option. So I'm pumped I don't have to draft anymore.
Yeah.
And I am excited to see my prospects, which I do think I have the best slew of prospects out of anyone, grow and develop. And
yeah, I mean, we might have some competition there, but yeah, I did snag Ellie. It was actually kind of wild watching this draft as compared to when we had just like our yearly drafts. How many guys were just like dropping? I think where'd we see Judge drafted like nine or 10,
something like that.
So seeing all these guys that are like 23, 24 years old because you know that you're going to have them on your roster for the next 3 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much different watching that dynamic. But I went crazy young. I don't think I have a guy on my roster other than Max Muncy that's like over 32.
Yeah, my oldest guy, like true starter, is Corey Seager at 30.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, but there's definitely going to be some growing pains. But yeah, I mean, I think Marcelo Ozuna went in like the 19th round. It was ridiculous. He was like top 50, top 60. He just kept sliding down. So I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I am pumped I never have to draft again. I can't overstate that enough. It was 46 rounds. What anything help you get through it?
It was a grind. Yeah. There was more than a few beverages flowing just to keep myself sane. Those late rounds got like real sweaty, man. I'm sitting here like I'm looking at names that I know I probably should roster, and then I see all these prospects, like guys like Carson Williams, Aiden Miller, some of these like stud shortstops in the late rounds, and I'm like, I can't not grab those. But then you see like Jock Peterson sitting there, and I have no power on my lineup. I gotta figure out what I was prioritizing for sure.
And it's kind of crazy to think too, because like I mean I know I did it. Like I saw someone like say Jock Peterson, and I was like, I'd rather have Christian Campbell on my team, who's done absolutely nothing in the MLB, and I'll just roll the dice on them. And it's like, how many of these top prospects actually work out? So small, but yet it's just so addicting, and it's the forbidden fruit. I'd rather have the person that could be the next Barry Bonds than the proven Jock Peterson who hits 30 home runs a year. So,
did you have a favorite prospect that you grabbed that's like not on a roster today that's the actually minor league spot?
Well, Campbell technically doesn't apply to that anymore since he made the roster, but I did want him from everything I've been hearing about him.
Yeah.
There was this guy I researched pre-draft. His name is Noah Schultz. He's one of the top prospects for the White Sox. He is a 6'11" lefty at 21 years old. Throws very hard. That fired me up. He had to be on my team. If I had to get one of the Dodgers Japanese guys, I wanted Roki because he's 23.
Yeah.
So I probably snagged him a bit early. I'm trying to think of anyone else. I mean, I have the big three of Boston, so that definitely went Boston heavy with my team. But I have the big three, which means I'll get to watch the Red Sox, and hopefully my fantasy team achieve greatness for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say flourish for a while. Yeah, I actually went.
Was another one too.
I went White Sox as well.
Who'd you go?
So I got Kyle Teal.
Okay.
So was a Sox guy, right? But that trade with Crochet, I like Teal a lot. Obviously, being in Charlotte too, I get to go watch the White Sox affiliate here, the Knights. So I'll get some up close and personal time with some of these guys. But yeah, dude, I mean, Kyle Teal, he's got a lot of pop. I think he hit like 15 home runs and 12 steals over like 90 games or something last year. And I think he's got some opportunity to make the team pretty early. Obviously Chicago White Sox are not gonna be lighting the world on fire, so they're probably going to be looking for any sort of offense they can get. So that'll be kind of fun to watch him get called up hopefully soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it used to be the big four until they traded him, so now it's just the big three. But supposedly he's got great leadership skills to the people that get to watch him all the time. And I think what he has to work on, according to them, is his defensive ability and calling games and managing pitchers, which is probably the most important gig of the catching position today. So, but he does seem like he can do a lot. It seems like he's very athletic. I'm pretty sure he had a pretty prolific collegiate career. I think it was Virginia or one of those bigger schools.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's great. You get any production out of catcher in fantasy baseball, it's a big win. So
you feel pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I snagged Yanier Diaz for the everyday roster, Kyle Teal as kind of the pseudo backup for long term. So we'll see how that works out. But man, yeah, I'm pumped for this fantasy season, especially with the Dynasty thing. I think it's going to be fun. We've got for people that don't know, and you'll learn as we kind of go along with this podcast, but we've got a pretty dedicated group. I know some of them are probably listening and rolling their eyes at our rosters right now, but I think overall it gets real competitive. We've had some interesting, I'll call them suspect at best trades in the past. Hopefully one of those comes sooner than later, because it's always something that gets everybody fired up. But we've been pretty diehard about this for quite a while now. I don't know, what are we running on, like 10 years, something like that.
It might be longer than that.
Yeah,
it's I know there was a league in middle school or high school, like 10th or 11th grade, and it might have died for a couple of years and then was brought back. So yeah, it's been going on since like 2007.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
So and we only have 8 teams, so if anyone's listening, and potentially wants to join, we'd love to get up to 10 or 12 at some point in the Dynasty format. So yeah, we're probably not going to give you any of our players, but there is with 8 teams and MLB draft every year, you can easily form a competitive squad.
Yeah. So we could always put you as a delayed start as well. So maybe we give you 2027, you join and you can draft some prospects along the way.
That's a great idea for sure.
So speaking of the White Sox, man, we both had White Sox guys. I don't know if you saw the report that just came out about the win totals for the White Sox. It is putrid. It is one of the lowest over under set for win totals on a team in like 35 years.
Well, they are dreadful, so that does make some sense. But
I mean, didn't they set a record last year with losses? I think it was a record.
Did they?
I believe it was like an overall record, like all time. We'll let you check that one out real fast and see if that's accurate. But so odds makers have the 2025 White Sox obviously pegged as one of the worst teams, but one of the worst teams in the last 35 years. Their over under total is set at 53.5 games, which means they're being pegged to lose 108 games minimum, basically. And on top of that, the next closest team for that, the next closest to them is 6 games ahead of them. The Colorado Rockies are almost at 60 games, 59 and a half. I mean, they got to really look at their franchise and just say, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to move out of Southside Chicago as fast as possible. Go to Nashville or something, but yeah, they had the most losses ever.
All time. What was that number?
121.
Phenomenal.
So they're only supposed to lose 109 this year, so they're improving.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting better. They're got improving. Some prospects.
So, it's only uphill if you're a White Sox, or, well, whatever term you want to use. But, the grass can only get greener, It might be pretty dry at the moment. But
yeah, the way I feel about it, it's like a bad hangover if you're a White Sox fan. You think it's getting better, but for whatever reason, it just keeps getting worse and worse as the day goes on. I don't know where the end is for the White Sox. They don't have a ton going for them. They need somebody in that farm to just pop off.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going through a rebuild like the Red Sox have been doing since they traded Mookie Betts, it's a process, and you don't get many ups. Yeah. You don't get many highs. So it's a lot of lows, but hopefully it turns into something, that's sustaining. That's kind of always the goal of the rebuild.
Yeah, no doubt.
Speaking of rebuilds, the Red Sox look to be turning a corner this year. They go out and get arguably the best pitcher in baseball in Garrett Crochet.
Subsequently from the White Sox.
From the White Sox. And it's a Sox special,
yeah.
Red or white. But the Red Sox have not yet to extend him, which is insane. They gave up a haul to get him, which included Kyle Teal. And for some reason, the Red Sox cannot get this job done. I have no clue why. Makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got a guy like Crochet, and I don't know exactly his age, but I know he's not very old.
He is 25 or 26. He's also on my fantasy team.
I mean, the other thing we'd probably have to look at, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's Scott Boras, but who's his agent?
That's a great question too, but I don't think it is Scott Boras.
Oh.
I don't know why my gut feeling says that. I want to say it's like watch me be 100% wrong.
I think one of the only things you got to worry about if you're the Sox, and the only reason they probably weren't too keen on just throwing out a huge number at him, even though he's dirty, they've had some luck in the past that it wasn't great with Chris Sale, another Sox guy. But I know Crochet's already had Tommy John surgery. He's never thrown a full MLB season as a starter. The durability there is definitely questionable. Again, though, when you got a guy that pitches the way he does, and at as high of a level as he does, I think you got to kind of, just take the chance and pay up.
Well, I mean, what do you think is a fair number, or what do you think would be an overpay for Garrett Crochet right now? He's never thrown 180 innings in a season, but what would you pay for him? What would you think is fair market?
I'm trying to think of some other guys that have gotten paid recently that might be in the same kind of boat. I wouldn't do a ridiculously long contract. I think I'd probably do like a 4-year, 5-year contract.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the total dollar is?
I'd probably be under. I'd be under 65 million.
65 million? So 4 years, 65 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. Teams would really like you.
I mean, What was Strider's deal? Didn't Strider sign 6 years, 75 million? I know we're in a bit of a different.
Yeah, that
It was
all
only
those
a couple
guys are.
years
And
ago.
by the way, his agent is the CAA Sports Group. Trying to get some more information on that.
CAA Sports Group. Interesting.
Yeah, CAA Sports is his agent.
Okay.
I have no clue. So I don't think it's Scott Boras.
I mean, that changes things. So it doesn't feel like there's probably a huge fight against the ownership group like we normally see with Scott.
Yeah. But I can't find CAA Sports anywhere. But anyways, I'm going down that rabbit hole. It's for another time. So what the people I listen to, they're saying that the Red Sox are offering him $150 million.
How many years? I mean, that's got to be.
I don't know.
I
I
can't
don't know how many
imagine
years. Probably
A,
seven.
B.
Probably seven.
Yeah.
But total comp 150, and Garrett Crochet wants over 200.
Jeez. Okay, way off.
So yeah, the 64 would be insane. That'd be. I mean, that's like Brian Bayo money.
Yeah.
And I think Brian Bayo makes like $8 million a year or something like that. He signed like a 5-year deal. So yeah, I mean, obviously Garrett Crochet doesn't have. Yeah, Brian Bayo's 6-year, $55 million. So what's that? 9.5, 9.25.
I think you could probably build some incentives in.
Yeah,
where he could probably, especially with all the injury concerns and everything else, build in some incentives. If he hits these mile markers, maybe his deal goes from 150 to 180, and you kind of meet in the middle a little bit. I don't know what his agent would say about that, but I
mean,
can't see him getting over 200.
Oh, I think if he has a good year, I think he will wait one more year. Let's say he puts 2 good years together, which means he really only has 2.5 years of service time.
Yeah,
he'll get over 300 million at age 27. So
who's the highest paid pitcher right now?
Well, besides Shohei, if you consider him a pitcher, I believe it's Garrett Cole.
Okay. And he signed a pretty massive deal.
He's over 300, yeah. MLB highest paid pitchers. Yeah. So I guess my whole point is if you're 25, you have the chance to. If you're a poverty franchise, you don't gamble. You can't afford to gamble.
Yeah.
To me, if you're the Red Sox, if you think you're a big market team, then you roll the dice, because worst case scenario, you just eat the money and you have money and you go spend it somewhere else.
Yep.
So, and even if he got injured again, say he signed a 7-year deal, that puts him at the end of his contract at 32, technically in his prime.
Yeah.
So say he gets injured once, you still get 5 years of prime Garrett Crochet.
I wanna believe that he's not gonna get injured again, like at least not a major injury.
Yeah.
We've seen so many of these guys come out, have Tommy John, like, 1 or 2 years into their career, and then they kind of bounce back and are strong for the rest of their careers. Although then you've got the guys like Jacob deGrom, right, where it's just like it just never stops. So I don't know.
DeGrom also is 37.
Yeah, he's old.
So
he's old.
I think there's if I'm any type of franchise at the moment, I'm not extending any pitcher in his 30s to a long-term deal. They're 3-4 year deals.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're 25, yeah, I'll give you a 7-8 year deal. And I would take into consideration that you do get injured and I still get 5-6 years of you.
Yeah.
And then once that contract's over, it's like, all right, you're taking the club friendly deal if you want to stay here and build a legacy, or you can go chase some more money. I mean, I get the prerogative of the player and I get the prerogative of the organization. But actually Yamamoto outbid or got $1 million more than Garrett Cole, so he is actually the highest paid pitcher
from a total deal.
325. Yep,
yeah,
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 years, 325.
I think Zach Wheeler's the highest paid average annual value guy, which
That
wouldn't
could be
surprise
true.
me either. I think he's at 42 million. DeGrom's at 40 million, which is I mean, I guess he's still getting paid from when he was elite. And honestly, when he does pitch, he still is elite. I've had him on my fantasy team last couple of years. It's like you get him for like a 3 or 4 week stretch, and he's like the dirtiest pitcher in the entire league.
Yeah.
So he'll win you a matchup or two. But yeah, so there's definitely a case to be had with Garrett Crochet demanding more money. I do think if he's smart, he doesn't. Or I think if the Red Sox are smart, right, they don't sign the deal now, which I know is going to frustrate a lot of Red Sox fans. But actually, I'm thinking the other way around here, buddy. If I'm Garrett Crochet, I don't sign the Red Sox deal now, right? I don't take the 150. Bet on yourself. If he really thinks he's going to stay healthy, and go get your 220, 300 million after an absolute baller season in 2025.
I agree. And that's why if you're the Red Sox, you give him 200, and so you don't have to wait 2 years, and then he's asking for 300, so you save 100 mil. So that's what's
Over 2
frustrating.
years.
So, but yeah, I mean, that is, I thought that was a kind of an interesting, I can't believe they couldn't get it done. It's kind of the same old story with them since 2018, really. So,
yeah.
But they're back.
So the Sox.
They're back. They got Garrett Crochet.
Feeling good.
They got Bregman. They got the 30 start boys. They got the big three. They got Bueller and Giolito. So I think they're going to be good.
Where's your confidence level in the division right now? Just gut feeling. Are they winning it? Are they?
Yeah, they're going to win the division. I'm confidence level 8.
Okay. Wow.
8.
It's pretty strong.
I think they have the starting pitching and they have the lineup. And I think the bullpen will be able to get them to the All-Star break, where ownership will then supplement them at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my outlook on the Sox. So
I've been a little bit more critical than you on that for sure. I'm a preface it with this. I like the Sox. I like their lineup. I like what they went out and got this offseason. I do still have some questions in the middle infield. I know you and I have had some conversation about this, but with Christian Campbell, I like him a lot. I think he's a good player. He was pretty great in the minors. This spring season, which, you can't put a lot of trust in the spring numbers, but 591 OPS over like 30 something games in spring this season. I don't love that, especially when he's trying to make the team. I think they kind of had to give him the spot by default right now. I know you had David Hamilton there, but just from a defensive position, he's way better at that spot. But I do get a little worried about the middle infield there with Story not being healthy all the time. You can't really count on him for a full season. I think he's played 161 total games in his Red Sox career, which is just unbelievable.
One of the greatest contracts of all time.
So I don't know. Do you have any concerns there? I guess maybe you could squash them for me. I like Christian Campbell. I think he's good. Obviously, you got Marcelo Mayer still kind of waiting in the wings there at short, or potentially playing a little bit of that second base spot. But with a bunch of youth and unproven guys at the MLB level, you got an aging guy like Trevor Story who can't stay healthy. I don't know. I don't trust the middle infield, but there's obviously talent there.
Yeah, I think the saving grace is obviously that they have Marcelo or Meyer that can step in. And I also think that, Trevor Story's old ownership guys, not old ownership, but old GM, he's not a Breslow guy. So Story goes down and Meyer comes up and does well, I mean, they're willing to eat money. They've eaten money before, so it could be a situation like that. I think they're a year or two away from truly contending from like World Series just because it takes time. But I do think of, what would it be, like the 94, 95 Yankees when Jeter was a rookie, Posada was a rookie, Bernie Williams was young. And they kind of had that core group all coming up at once, and they all got that like playoff taste. And Don Mattingly's last year, I think that could be very similar to the Red Sox if Campbell, Meyer, and Roman Anthony are all the real deal, or at least, you know,
2 out of
average
3.
to above average players.
If you can get 2 out of 3 to be all-star guys, I mean,
well, I mean, they still have
winning.
Wilger Abreu. He's freaking 26, 25, 26. He's an average bat with plus defense. I mean, most teams would love to have that.
Ceddanne Raphael is another guy, man. I think a lot of people kind of forget about him. I know he was a rookie last year. He swings for the fences. If he can cut down a little bit on that strikeout rate, I mean, he could be a huge tool for the Sox. I think he plays in and outfield, if I'm not mistaken. A little bit of both.
He can play infield, but it's more of he played infield last year because we had no other option.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I think also having Bregman at third, that just relieves a lot of pressure off shortstop.
Yeah.
Which there's been stories that Story's arm is like he can't make the deep throws anymore.
Oh man.
So I think his regression is inevitable.
Now, do you consider this? Do you consider saying, hey, Story, we're going to put you at second. We're going to go ahead and put Christian over at short. We got Bregman at third. I kind of like that a little bit better just for the long term of this season. It takes a little bit of pressure off of Story to make any sort of, you know, crazy plays with his body and potentially get more injured. I don't know. I kind of like that potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it could work. I'd rather have Story at short just because he's proven that he can be a elite defender.
Yeah.
When it comes down at the end of the day, he knows that he has a job to do. That's why he's getting paid $25 million or whatever it is a year to do it.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
He's just got to do it. So, and if he can't, you know, then maybe it's time to get a true shortstop, you know, with Meyer up there, just from like a development standpoint. And then you kind of just move on from Story and kind of do Phantom IL or eat the money. So, I mean, he's got to opt in at the end of this year. So, unless he just has a crazy comeback season, which would be great, and he opted out, more than likely he is going to be on the Red Sox for another 2 years. So, if he continues to get injured or is not producing, he will just be on the bench or eventually waived.
Yeah,
That's how I see it, because they just have... There's no loyalty to him, you know?
So the only other thing about this, how do you feel about the rotation in the bullpen, kind of down the stretch? You feel confident? I know you said your confidence level that they win the division is an 8. I do feel like there's still maybe some question marks there with the bullpen. Maybe a little bit of regression could happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bullpen is the weak link of the team for sure.
Yeah.
So I think if they can just hold it together, and then maybe they can go get an arm or two at the deadline. They got a couple of young guys that are pretty good, but you know, Chapman's looked good in spring, but he's 38, something like that. He still throws 100, so it plays.
Crazy.
And then Liam Hendricks has not been impressive. Hasn't been, you know. It's going to take him some time to get back in the form.
Yeah.
If he ever gets back in the form, because he's also like 38 years old. So, I really like Slayton. I think he could be the closer of the future.
Yep.
And they have some guys that have done it before, but they haven't really been able to stay healthy. So, I think they could definitely improve in the bullpen.
I mean, maybe it's one of those situations where you just basically hunker down win as many games as you can until the deadline and fix the bullpen at the deadline. And then go on a crazy run to finish out the season. That's usually the game plan for a lot of competing teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at someone like the Dodgers, not going into this season because their bullpen's stupid, but they always have like 7 starters because they're always anticipating someone to go down. Someone steps up and is a stud. And I think the Red Sox, not that they have Dodger starting pitching depth, but I think their depth in the starting pitching is very good. And I think if they already have 2 injuries right now, and their rotation will be fine. So I think Buehler could have a huge year. I think he's still a stud. I think he still has lots to prove. And then, I mean, Houck was great last year. Cutter was good at times, bad at others. He's still young. And then Bayo's still really young. I like him too. I like them all from 3 to 5 range. If I can have any of those guys as a 3 to 5 on my team, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
And then they have an ace. They have an ace now, a true bona fide ace. So if they need to win one game, they can throw someone out there and you flip a coin, they have a chance to do it. So
yeah, who was the last bona fide ace for
Sale?
I was gonna say Sale, right?
Chris
Another
Sale.
another Sox guy. So I like the Sox. I like their lineup. I do have questions about their infield depth wise. I don't have questions about the guys who are there if they're healthy. But the depth concerns me a little bit, and the bullpen, obviously, it's old. It could be rocky. We'll see what happens. But when you look at the rest of the division, I'm not putting my confidence level at an 8 like you are, but I'd say they have a really good shot to take the division, especially with how beat up the Yankees are. The Yankees just, they don't scare me like they did, last year or the year prior, where it's like every guy that comes up to bat is just going to take you deep. You lose Soto. You got Goldschmidt. He's old. He had a terrible year last year in his eyes. You still got Judge, but he's going to miss time guaranteed, as it happens every year. And Cody Bellinger is a new good addition as well. But their rotation is jacked up. Lewis Heel out 3 months or so. Cole's out the entire year. It's just not a great rotation by any means. Their bullpen's all right, but I don't see them having enough really, unless Judge just goes nuts and stays healthy the entire year and kind of propels them to a division title. I just don't know if I see it.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is going to be the workhorse. It's going to be, if Judge can stay healthy and hit 58 bombs and hit 285 and have a OPS of 800 or 900, it's like, yeah, they'll have a chance. But I mean, when Oswaldo Cabrera is your starting third baseman and you're the New York Yankees, it's, you kind of got to look at yourself. And they got some Giancarlo Stanton's banged up. He's not really going to be DHing. He's going to be banged up. Freaking Volpe, he's not impressive to me. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's great. Goldschmidt's old. They had to beg him out of retirement. I do like Bellinger. I think Bellinger could be sneaky for playing in Yankee Stadium. Jazz is kind of a big wild card. I think he can be a good offensive production guy, but I don't think defensively he's going to help. So I would be curious what his WAR would be at the end of the year. Very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. I mean, Carlos Carrasco, he's in the rotation for the Yankees. That's insane to me. I thought that guy was like 50 years old, living on his farm in Venezuela or wherever he's from, hanging out, thinking of the glory days when he took the Indians to the ALCS to lose to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they got to do a lot of stuff. And I don't know how they do it because they've traded a lot of their prospects for people. I love the Devin Williams move.
Yeah.
Love that. But he's also a rental. He's only there for 1 year.
Yeah.
So they basically just did the same that they did for Juan Soto. Obviously, their bullpen's really good. And that's what they're relying on. And then, I mean, Max Fried, I like Max Fried. Do I think he's like Garrett Crochet level or Blake Snell level? Or the numbers might say it. My eye test says no. I do like him, though. I do like Max Fried, but I don't think he's like a bona fide ace. I think he's like a 1B high 2. So it would look a lot better if Garrett Cole was there. Garrett Cole was anchoring it, and then you had Fried at the 2, and everyone got to slide down.
Yep.
I think they're a 90 win team, but I think they're now like an 85, 84 win team. So
yeah, I kind of agree with you on Fried. I know a lot of people would disagree, especially a lot of our Braves, fans would probably disagree heavy on that. I think he's great when he's protected as a 2. I think when you don't have the weight of being the ace, especially the ace of the Yankees, in your first season, I think that's going to be a ton of pressure on him, especially with a lineup that may go through droughts where they don't score a ton of runs for you. I just don't know that he's going to be as dirty as people might think he was. He was a 3.5 WAR guy last year, though. So I mean, he's not a scrub by any means, but I agree. No. I don't know if I really see him as being
he's a 1B to me. He's Derek Lowe, not Pedro, not Schilling, or whatever analogy you want to use. I do find it interesting, though, that they have Carlos Rodon making their opening day and not Max Fried. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it is.
Why is that happening?
It's a very interesting.
If he's your ace and he's your 8-year, 200 and whatever $1 million guy, he's going to be the savior of this year for the staff, and we're going to give it to fat Rodon, fat bald Rodon to go out there and get the ball. So that's the question I would ask. I mean, I would be demanding it if I was him. I'd be like, what the hell? Why is Rodon getting it? Give me the ball. I'm here.
It feels like a traditional Yankees move where the guy's been on the roster. They just kind of are like, all right, man, you've been a part of the team. Here's the ball first day. I would have gone with Max opening day, hands down. Rodon's probably going to serve up a nice little 5 spot for him. So we'll see how it goes, but I don't want to get too deep into the Yankees.
I'm good on the Yankees.
But overall, I think when we're talking the Red Sox, I can see them absolutely overtaking the Yankees. The Orioles could have a banger year, or they could be like 4th. Just with all the youth, I don't love their rotation either. We'll get into that in another episode, but and then the Blue Jays, man. The Blue Jays are kind of sneaky. I kind of like some of the moves that they made this year. With the Yankees kind of being maybe potentially a little down. I don't know. Maybe the Blue Jays step up a little bit. But let's change gears a little bit and let's go over to the NL side. Your preferred league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do miss pitchers hitting. Bring it back. 2026. If we're going to have a lockout, make sure pitchers are hitting in 2027.
That'd be phenomenal. I want to focus on the NL Central and specifically the Cubs. For the listeners that don't know, I'm a Cubs fan. Obviously, I think Joe's made it completely clear that he's a Sox guy. This is not going to be as confident or as rosy as the outlook for the Red Sox. I'll be honest. I don't know what the Cubs are doing, man. I don't know what the Cubs are doing. And maybe it's a little bit of recency bias because of this whole Cam Smith getting called up to the opening day roster for the Stros. But man, you don't get an extension with Kyle Tucker yet. You got the first round pick that you just drafted. He's played 31 total games in the minors, is on the opening day roster for the Astros. This could go down as a horrible trade if Kyle Tucker walks. That being said, they do play in a bad division. I think that this is one of those things that the Cubs ownership just does, which is, let's just bet on the fact that we play in a bad division. Let's go out, try and win 89, 90 games and sneak into a wild card or a potential divisional title because everybody else sucks. And let's see what happens. It's their game plan every year. They're just competitive enough so that you kind of, like, the fans can't get too restless, but they're never competitive enough to actually do anything about it.
Yeah, if you get in, you always got a chance. It's a good way to live, I guess. It's just you think of the old that Cubs crew they had when they won the World Series, and it's like they broke them up, and what have they gone from it?
Yeah,
it's crazy. They're so similar to the Red Sox with how they had so much success, and then they just decided to be like, we need a different direction.
Yeah.
Winning the World Series is not good enough. But Kyle Tucker, you got to extend him.
Yeah. You have to.
There's no choice. Whatever he decides whatever, you give him a blank check, because you look down the roster and it's like, Ian Happ, solid. Suzuki, solid.
Mm-hmm.
Pico Armstrong has a lot to grow into. You got John Birdie. He was a sneaky fantasy guy. A lot of stolen bases. I don't think he's starting, though.
I think actually he is starting. He started.
Oh, really?
So he won't start long term. So Nico Horner's out.
That's right. Yeah.
Rehabbing in extended spring. Or he will be probably extended spring training. But Birdie, he played second base in the 2 games over in Japan, and he did have a nice day at the plate the second day. I think he actually had 3 hits. So it was actually not a bad day at the plate, but man, defensively, what a liability out there. I think he had 2 errors. One was a whoa kind of throw over first base. It was like eye popping. I just, and all the guys you just named, I feel good about. Ian Happ, I like him. Suzuki, I like him. Even Horner, I like him. I think Pico Armstrong, if he can cut down on the strikeouts and just get on base, the dude's like 99 plus speed in MLB The Show. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to take second and third base almost every time he gets on. So I like that. But man, when you start looking up and down this lineup, you're like, nobody scares me. Mm-mm. You see Kyle Tucker's name, that's a good one. But you look at any team out there that is a real competitive team and one that you think could actually take the next step and win the World Series, you got at least 2, potentially, and a lot of times 3 or 4 guys that you don't want to mess with when you're a pitcher, and you got to be really careful with your spots. I just don't. There's nobody on this lineup that you're like, oh my God, we got that guy in the 2 hole, and we got to be really careful with him. It's just not there.
Yeah, I think any recipe for success in baseball, you either do elite pitching, elite defense, and have an average offense, or you have average defense, average pitching, and just a very scary offense. And I don't see the Cubs fitting in any of those equations.
Yep.
So it's, how do you get that fixed? You look at you got one stud with Kyle Tucker. You look at their rotation, and to me, it's like, Max Fried would have been nice to add to this team. You know, you can go trade for Sandy Alcantara, and he's a friendly contract. You know, like, I think there's moves to be done.
The way I look at that, though, and I agree. I mean, I still think the Cubs should try to make a move to win the division, like go out and get a Sandy. But man, you had Corbin Burns was available.
Mm-hmm.
You had Max Fried was available. You had, like, you didn't have to go out and give up your farm to get, and it's not like they're bleeding for money. Like, they could have gone out and got these guys, and they just sat back and said, we're not going to do it. Soto was out there. Bregman was out there. I mean, there are so many guys that you're like, how do you whiff on all these guys? And then the one move you do make, you go and you get Kyle Tucker, which I'm not upset about that in any faction, but you go out and get Kyle Tucker, and then you can't re-sign him to an extension, and you give up your first round pick. I just, there's a lot to not like about the way that they've constructed their roster and continually do it year after year. That being said, I will take a bit of I'll give some positives here, right? One, yes, you got Kyle Tucker. He could win an MVP easily, especially playing at Wrigley Field. I mean, he might be able to hit 40 bombs this year. Pete Crow Armstrong, if he develops a good bit, I could see him being, really strong option, especially at the top of the lineup. I still like Shota. Justin Steele, he has been great, but I kind of see him potentially declining a little bit this year. But that might be enough at the top of the lineup, or at the top of the rotation, to win you enough games to kind of get you to the end of the year where you can maybe compete for it. And you still gotta trust Craig Counsell a bit. He's kind of done this with Milwaukee for years, right? Just a lineup that you're like, meh. And then he goes out there and he wins the division and makes some noise. So Central sucks. It just does. It's not a great division. I do have some thoughts on some teams in that division that I'll keep to myself for a moment. But overall, I really think the Cubs need to make a better effort, especially in the future, but potentially right now with guys like Sandy. Go out and make a move, make the fans happy. You can't raise your ticket prices after an offseason like this, which they did. So we're in a weird spot. There's a lot of tension between the fan base and the Cubs organization right now, to say the least.
Well, I think they're in a unique opportunity that every franchise dreams of. Your rivals, like, in complete rebuild, and can't even really complete rebuild yet because they have a bunch of vets and contracts that they're still trying to get rid of with the Cardinals.
Yep.
And then you have, the same teams that are always, they don't have the ownership they usually invest like the Cubs do. So it's like, you could really build some walls and be a division leader year after year after year, but they got a different vision. That's why they make the big bucks, and we sit around and start our first baseball podcast.
Yes, exactly.
I love Craig Counsell, though. I will say that. Love Craig. I think he's a genius. He's one of the best. Yep. He can get the most from least, and one of the craziest batting stances of all time, which I respect the hell out of.
Kevin Youkilis style, man. Gotta love it. All right, so what do you say? Let's run down our divisional winners here. I know maybe we start with the Central, right? Because we're already kind of talking here.
Okay.
Let's go through each division real quick. We can maybe we speed run it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm thinking Central here. I'm gonna go a little weird. So I do think the Cubs could win the division.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people expect them to probably win the division because it's a bad division. I'm gonna get weird here. I like the Pirates, man. I like the Pirates, and I'm telling you, it could get weird. Again, we just kind of talked about how we got this terrible division, right? I think Who's out? Jared Jones. He's out for a little bit of time, right?
I think he is not throwing for 6 weeks, but he does not need surgery as of now.
Yeah. So we got Skeens at the top of that rotation. Actually, their rotation wasn't horrible last year. They kind of pieced it together a little bit. And they've got some young prospects like Bubba in the wings. I mean, the dude throws like 112. It's absolutely insane. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I like O'Neal Cruz. I think he's going to have a big year this year. He might be able to kind of bolster that lineup. And then, I think just overall being able to take a few games here and there from teams like the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. St. Louis Cardinals, man, I mean, they're going to be a bottom feeder. They're not even in contention. Why not the Pirates?
Yeah, I mean, I like their rotation. I like their young arms. I do like O'Neal Cruz, even though he's got a lot of tools, but I still think he has to put it together on a consistent basis. Do I trust their ownership to go out at the deadline and make a couple moves to solidify their chance? No.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things got to go right. But to say this, I do think the NL Central is as wide open as possible. I have picked the Reds to win the division, and that's solely just because I think Tito has shown that he can do that. He's done it with the Indians several times. He's obviously the man that broke the curse. And then they have several guys that are studs. They got Ellie Cruz. They got a bunch of starters that throw gas like Hunter Green. I think they can make a run. I think 85, 86 wins, maybe wins that division.
Yes.
So you're basically playing just over 500 baseball. I think it's feasible. So definitely a division that when you get to the playoff time, them hosting a game is outrageous.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, it is funny though, when you do look at that division, you kind of look it up and down, you're like, there's nobody that can't win it other than maybe the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody can lose it.
Mm-hmm. Everyone can lose it.
Everybody can lose it. Nobody really sticks out as the one that's going to win it. If you had to say that there's a favorite to win it, though, it's probably still the Brewers or Cubs, right?
Yeah.
Just from a betting odds perspective.
I would imagine they got the best odds.
Yeah. Let's flip over to the AL Central.
Okay.
What a weird division.
Super weird.
What a weird division. What a division that potentially might be the best in baseball. I mean, seriously. I know that sounds crazy because for years this has been arguably one of the worst divisions of baseball. But if we're looking at this, we got the Guardians, who are still pretty dirty and young and only getting a little bit dirtier with a lot of their prospects. You got the Detroit Tigers. You got the Kansas City Royals. So you got a Cy Young winner, a runner-up for AL MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those three teams alone, I don't know if you could find in another division outside of maybe the AL West. Maybe you could make the case for the NL East, but the AL East we kind of just ran down. That one's a little shaky right now. I don't know, man. Maybe the AL Central could be one of the best, if not the best in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think they get the beat up on the White Sox. I think a lot of them had very commendable showings last year, and we'll see if they can repeat it. I know my pick. I'm picking the Royals. I think the Guardians are going to have a little down year. I think the Tigers aren't going to be able to live up to expectations. I think Twins are going to be the Twins, and the White Sox are going to suck. So, love Bobby Witt. I like what they do over there. I mean, I think they're sneaky with Kansas City.
So that's going to be the first one so far that you and I have very similar thoughts on.
Okay.
I really like the Royals. I think their offense is dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Salvador Perez just defies time.
Yeah, he got leadership.
Leadership. Jonathan India is kind of a sneaky second base option too. I kind of like him. And then obviously Bobby Witt's just going to hold it down there. But the only thing that concerns me about Kansas City down the stretch would be their rotation. Your number 2 guy, Seth Lugo.
Yeah, he had a year last year too. So
he did.
He's due for a bad one, more than likely.
Love Reagans, though. Love Reagans.
Love Reagans. I also think he's an ACR, if I have that correct.
He is. He is indeed. he is a Gainesville native, an absolute stud.
I like their bullpen. I think their bullpen's solid.
Yep.
Michael Wacha's kind of been a nice little steady arm to have in the rotation over the past couple years. Yeah, I mean, I think in the AL, if you got 3 guys that can get you 30 starts and keep you at 3.5 or lower, I think you're going to be fine. And then when you add in someone like Cole Reagans at the top of your rotation, that makes you a little dangerous. I think the offense will definitely show up. I think they have a great combination of speed and power. So,
yeah, I'm gonna go with you then. I'm taking the Royals. If I had to probably put money on it, I think you and I will probably both be wrong, and the Guardians will win some crazy amount of games like they always do. And everybody scratches their head and goes, how? But yeah, that would be my only concern is probably the Guardians. I don't think the Tigers have enough. I think they're too young. I love Scooble, but I don't think they have it yet. But yeah, I would say we're both aligned on that one. Let's go back over to the NL. Let's go NL West.
Fun division.
Yeah.
Fun division. Got the Dodgers easily. I think really not much to say. They bought up everyone. They're ridiculous.
I think if we're really talking about this division, who's number 2, right? Yeah. That's really where the question starts.
And I think the Diamondbacks will finish too. Very close between the Diamondbacks and the Padres. I think the Padres are a ticking time bomb. They only have 1 or 2 more years of actually contending before they fire sale or do something like that. And with their roster age as well, with their stars. So I think they're in pushing all the chips in and seeing what they can get done in the next year or 2. But the Diamondbacks, they're young. They just added your boy who the Cubs should have got.
Yep.
And they're going to be really good. So, I mean, the West is, I think the Giants are going to be pretty good as well.
I was gonna say, I think that they really could make a run for that second spot.
The Giants.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough because with the Giants, what's gonna have to happen for them is they're gonna have like everything go right. Verlander, old. Robbie Ray, old and injury prone. But if those 2 guys really bolster the rotation and play, 60 to 70% of what they used to. I mean, you got Logan Webb as your ace. I think that's a great rotation. Their pen is not bad by any means. Camilo Duvall is one of the most electric arms out of any of the pens in baseball. But when you look at their lineup, it's not like it's void of production. Matt Chapman's still solid. Willie Adames is a 30+ home run guy. I know it's going to be tough in that park. Not really a hitter's park, but Jung-Hoo Lee, I mean, he comes back, if he's healthy, he was looking great in the limited time that we've seen him. So it's not bad roster by any means. I think that they can compete in that division. The problem is it's just going to be a grind. You're playing the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Dodgers for an outrageous amount of games throughout the year. So, like I said, everything's got to go right for them.
Yeah, I think they're the Mariners of that division.
Yeah.
So, their lineup does not threaten me at all. I think they got a really good staff, and I think they got a really good bullpen, and I think they're going to play great defense. So that's a good combination. It's a good combination. I just think the other three teams are just better at all of it, which sucks for them. So they needed to be in the NL Central. So they do need to be in the NL Central. Let's stay NL. Let's go NL East. Let's get this one over with. This has got to be one of the most dreaded divisions just from a competition standpoint. It's going to be so sweaty in those top three teams, the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies. I'm picking the Braves to win this division. I think it's really gonna come down to Phillies Braves. I don't think the Mets rotation stands up to either of those other two squads. And I think the other part about this is if you actually look at the Mets, you got Soto, right? He's a generational talent. Mm-hmm.
You got the polar bear, who's probably gonna bounce back and hit like 40 bombs this year. Just kind of how it goes. And you got Lindor. There is nobody else on that roster that I would even be remotely scared of.
Well, they got that third baseman, starts with a V.
Vientos.
I like him. Yeah, I was reading reports that Edwin Diaz is like sitting 92 to 94. He's probably not even going to be the closer at the end of the year if he keeps up the same velo trend. I'd be worried. I think they got a good foundation for the future, but this is not their year.
It does feel interesting that they didn't invest a little bit heavier with all the money that the Mets have, right? It feels almost unlimited. You go out and you get Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of didn't follow that up with anything. Like they could have gone out and at least gotten one more guy for that rotation that would have been like a stud, not a Sean Manaea, not a Frankie Montas. Like go out and get a solid 2, a solid 3 guy. And it might have looked a little bit different, especially if Senga can bounce back and stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cohen does a good job. I think he does have limitless money, but I think he does have a standard. And I think he's very based in his approach. And it's like, if he was just not being frugal, he would have gave freaking Polar Bear his 5-year, 200 whatever million bucks. But he was like, dude, you're not worth that. And if you don't want to be here, that's fine. We'll figure it out without you. And he got 1 year, 30 million, or 2 years, whatever. So he ended up being, I think he's smart, and I think he's just waiting on the right moves to pounce on. And when he does see something that's valuable, like Juan Soto, he's willing to open the bank.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, it's what you want as a fan,
So we're both heavy on Braves then for this division. Sounds like.
Yeah, Braves, Phillies. Who knows who wins? I have the Braves winning by a hair.
Yeah.
So, but I really like the Phillies as well.
Yeah, man. The Phillies might have one of the best lineups in baseball, as do the Braves. I mean, they're all up there, right? We're talking Braves, Dodgers, Phillies.
I mean, the Braves won 89 games last year with no Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
Obviously, he played a little bit, but um,
And top
yeah.
that off with like 40 games missed for Malby's. I
Mm-hmm.
know you had some issues. I think some injuries with Riley last year as well. So yeah, they just kind of keep rolling.
Mm-hmm. They do. They figure out a way, which is cool. They always have. But I do love Dombrowski. He'll always have a special place in my heart. And he's been so close the past couple of years. So it's like maybe this is the year where he really pushes in all the chips and at the trade deadline gets someone that you don't even expect
Yeah.
to get them over the hump. But I mean, really, you're just looking. You got to have three, in my opinion, you got to have three guys in your rotation to try to take down the Dodgers in the playoffs. You might be able to get it done with two if they like go on short day rest and, they're just able to have two great games, but you're going to have to stifle their lineup. And then on top of it, then you're going to have to hit somehow against all their studs. But first, first task is getting a guy out there that can get outs.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, I think the Braves need to add a guy to be able to do that, but I think the Phillies could match up well with the Dodgers.
I was just
And
going
the
to say, I
Braves.
mean, the way I look at it is in a 7-game series, I think either the Braves or Phillies could get it done. In a 5-game series with the Dodgers, I would take either one of them to do it.
That's true.
I think both of those lineups are scary. I wouldn't want to face them, and especially in the playoffs. And from a rotational standpoint, neither one of them are rotations that you're going to want to have to face, especially with your season on the line. So, I think we're pretty in line there. The next division here, I think we're probably going to be on the same page as well. But AL West.
AL West. I have the Rangers.
Yeah, I thought you might go there. Yeah, I too much talent, right? Too much talent. A lot of injuries last year. That was not the Rangers team that we're going to see this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think for a second that what we're going to see from the Rangers is anything close to what we saw last year. There's only one team in that division that I think this year is going to really put some pressure on the Rangers. And I know this is probably going to be a bit of a hot topic, but the Mariners. I made a video not long ago about the Mariners winning the division. I think I'm going to scale it back a little bit just because I really don't love what they've got in the lineup. It's not otherworldly. But man, that's got to be the best rotation in baseball, right?
Definitely the best rotation in baseball. I don't know how many games they're going to win when they can only average 1.5 runs a game. So that is my big. I can't believe they didn't go sign people like Santander, and it baffles me. There was plenty of options out there for them to improve their lineup, and they chose not to. I mean, they had a chance to get Tristan Casas and Masataka Yoshida for their number 5, Wu. And they were like, no, we're good. We're going to keep Wu. We don't want any of this offense. So, I mean, I don't know if that was the right trade, but you do add 2 guys with over 800 OPS to your team immediately. One guy who I love that the Mariners picked up for Cheapo Depot is Victor Robles.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Robles.
I think
Mr.
that
Robles.
is a very sneaky move, and I think he could be a very productive player for them. But other
Yeah,
than that,
he played with them a bit last season, right? That was a
yeah, I'm
midseason
pretty sure he
acquisition.
got cut.
Oh, okay.
Got cut or waived, and then they picked him up for like, no
Let's
one
see.
wanted him. Then he hit like 330 for the rest of the year, 20 stolen bags or something like that. It was
Make that 30 stolen bags in 77 games. With an OBP of 393 and an OPS of 860. I mean, my God.
and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's a former top prospect
He is a former top prospect.
from the Nationals, and because he is on my fantasy team as well. He is 27 years old.
It's unbelievable. He's been playing since 2017 in the show. Doesn't even make sense.
People cut bait. He's in the middle of his prime. It's crazy.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I think that the Rangers kind of are. There's too much there. But man, I would not be surprised if we come down to the end of this coming season and the Mariners are right there. It would not surprise me at all, especially if they go out. And listen, nobody trusts their ownership to go out and get a stud at the deadline. I think M's fans will tell you it seems like they just kind of sit on their hands with that type of stuff. But man, if they could go out and get a difference maker in the lineup for the back half of the season, watch out. I think they could be good.
I don't think Seattle has made the playoffs since 2005, something like that. It's when they won like 113 games. I think Brett Boone was on the team.
The old Felix Hernandez days?
No, pre-Felix Hernandez.
Pre-Felix.
Yeah, let me see. It's something crazy like that. I think they've made the playoffs twice since like 2000. It's last time Seattle has made the playoffs.
Are we sleeping too much on Houston here?
I'm not. I have them finishing second.
Okay.
In that division. I still believe in Houston. Yeah, I think all three of those will be close, and I think Oakland is going to surprise a lot of people.
I agree with that.
So
but just not enough yet, right? They're so young.
So young, but I think they're so athletic. All right, the last time was 2000. That would be the team's last playoff appearance until 2022. All right, so they made it in 2022, and the time before that was 2001. So they have two playoff appearances in 20 years. And think about all the talented teams they've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love the prospect of them winning the division then. But man, if Julio Rodriguez steps up though, I mean, you're talking, he has like a 30 home run, 30 plus steal year, and Cal Raleigh repeats what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Victor Robles hits an 870 OPS. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. They could be actually pretty dirty.
Yeah,
So that
anything is possible. It's a new year,
Absolutely.
It's a new year, new season.
That's the fun thing about all this speculation at the beginning of opening day like this, because we will be completely wrong, most likely about 90% of the stuff. But that's the fun part. And we'll wrap this up. AL East. I think you said the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say just for sake of being a bit of a devil's advocate here, I'm gonna go with the Orioles. I think they're a fun team. They're a young team. I think Jackson Holiday I think he pops off this year. I know he kind of came out and was real rough to watch in the beginning of that. He's got way too much talent to fall into mediocrity. I really like him. Adley Rushman. I mean, look up and down the depth chart. There's a lot of big names. It's just a matter of putting it together. I like Zach Eflin in the rotation. We both, I think, like Grayson Rodriguez, Charlie Morton, which, how did you say it? Defies father time.
He does.
The dude just keeps going.
I think he was still sitting 95, 97 in spring training.
It's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
I have to verify that, but yeah, 41. I mean, good for that dude, man. He's living the dream.
And their bullpen's not bad either. I mean, Gregory
Bullpen's
Soto.
great. Bullpen's great.
Yenier Cano. I mean, yeah. Felix Bautista. I mean, yeah, they're going to make a run at it. I think that's going to be one of the most fun divisions to watch this year. I think every game's going to be really, really good. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Orioles. So,
and I can see them, new ownership. I can see them making a move.
Yes.
They still got they got a top heavy farm system, so they can definitely make a splash or two. So, especially guys that are getting blocked like Kobe Mayo.
So I think we kind of already talked about it a little bit when we were kind of going through the divisions, but our dark horse teams, you know, I picked the Pirates in the Central. Really, I'm picking nobody, but I'm saying the Pirates. I think they're my dark horse team. That was one of the reasons I picked them for the division. I don't love anybody in that division. I'm a big Cubs fan. I just think they're going to find a way to be mediocre. Their rotation is arguably like mid at best. I like the Reds. I think they could make a run, but why not the Pirates? Let's see it happen. I know we've got some buddies that would love for that to happen. Why not?
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, they're my dark horse.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I had the Reds really basically because of Tito, and then I think the Blue Jays might be the most interesting team entering the 2025 season. With the drama with Vladdy, is it his goodbye tour? Is he going to get $700 million? Is that franchise really going to be that stupid and give him that much money? But at the same time, he's Canadian somehow. I guess he was born there. So it's like he is the homegrown superstar Canadian.
Yeah.
Do you lose him? I don't know. Does Bo Bichette come back and bounce back? I mean, if you have an MVP caliber year from Vladdy and Bo Bichette's back to 2022, you got Georgie Springer and you got Santander, and I mean, their staff. They got Barrios, Gossman. They could easily win 86, 87 games and sneak into a playoff spot.
And Scherzer's there now too, right? So I think that's going to be.
He is, but he's banged up a little bit.
A little banged up. But when is he not over the last few years?
Yeah.
He'll usually come back and still give you something toward the end of the year for sure.
So, veteran group, couple superstars. See what happens. It's going to be feast or famine for sure.
I love that. So I really want to talk some futures bets. So, you know, for those of you that are listening to this first podcast, you might know or you may not know that Joe and I are slight degenerates. We do love a good bet. I want to look forward to the end of the year. You know, the way I'm looking at it from specifically an award base. So when I'm looking at my favorite bets, just because so much can happen with the teams, when I'm looking at my futures bets, I really like to focus on the awards. I like to look at what happened last year, what I think is going to happen this year. I'm going to give you my first two futures bets that I am just over the moon about. One is a favorite, and that's going to be the AL MVP, Bobby Witt. You know, I think last year, I think we said he had like one of the best WAR years of like anybody ever. There's something crazy. Aaron Judge obviously still in that division, but with Bobby Witt's overall arsenal, his ability to steal the bags like he does, and then also we can't discount on the defensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the field. What he brings to that defense. I really think Bobby Witt Jr. takes that next step this year. His stats are going to be unbelievable. His team, we both picked them to win that division. I'm going Bobby Witt Jr., AL MVP. And on the NL side, I'm going with another guy that everybody's probably a little high on, but he's not the favorite. Fernando Tatis.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. I know he's had some injury issues and stuff over the last few years, but when he's healthy, man, it's just fun to watch. He's still super young.
Oh yeah, he's also
Still
on my
super
fantasy
young.
team.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Tatis. So we got Tatis right now on FanDuel. You can get Tatis as the NL MVP at plus 850.
Oh wow.
Look, Shohei's going to be tough to beat, right? Especially if he comes out and pitches. But I don't know, man. I mean, anybody can have just a blowout year where they're insane. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is more than capable in every facet of his game to win an NL MVP. So I'm gonna go with him this year. I'm gonna ride with it plus 850, and on WIT it's a plus 280. Just a little higher than Judge at plus 300.
I like both those picks. The Tatis one's a good bang for your buck. So
Yeah.
you throw a 10 on that. What's that? $850?
Yeah, it's more like $85, but yeah.
It's not shabby at all. I only had one individual award. That is AL Cy Young, and that will be no other than Garrett Crochet. Very
All
easy.
right. A little bit of a homer pick, but we'll
put
allow
10
it.
in, put 10 in, get 52.50. It's an easy 52.50. So, and then my second easiest bet, you're gonna make smooth $20. Put in 10, win 30. And that is, do the New York Yankees reach the playoffs? And that's no.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow.
Futures. We don't want them in there. We don't need them in there. And we want to make some money. So that's easy too. And then my futures 6-bet parlay.
Okay, let's hear this one.
You throw in 10. Your payout's $464.29. So we got the over of 78.5 wins for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
We got the over of 86.5 for the Boston Red Sox. We got the over 77.5 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Should
Okay.
be easy money. We got the over for 78.5 for the Cincinnati Reds. We got the over of 85.5 for the Texas Rangers. And we got the over for 71.5 for the Oakland or Sacramento Athletics.
Okay. 71. So what was that last one? The A's at
71 and a half. That just seems so low.
Yeah. Especially for what they've got. I feel pretty good about that one, actually.
Let's see.
I will say there's a lot that needs to happen there.
They won 69 games last year.
Yeah, no, I actually, the A's pick
So-
probably worries me the least.
Yeah, the Red Sox one scares me the most.
Yeah. But you had to put a little bit of a
So-
homer pick in there.
Well, they won 81 games last year, and they added Bregman and Crochet.
Yeah. And Bueller.
And Bueller. And Giolito's back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, hey,
you know,
I'm not gonna knock it because anything can happen here.
for sure.
The only thing I will say, that could not have been more filled with homer picks. The Yankees missing the playoffs. We got Crochet and the Cy Young, and we've got the Red Sox knocking down the 82 games. I
Easy
respect
money.
it though. I respect
Easy money.
it. I did have two Cy Young picks.
Okay.
I'm gonna fade your Crochet pick a little bit here, and the only reason why is because the money is right on this guy. I got Logan Gilbert.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert at plus 1100. That seems crazy to me. I got on this list, we got Cole Reagans at plus 850, Crochet at plus 360, and Tarek Skubal at plus 350. I think all those guys are really good, but I don't think Logan Gilbert's significantly worse or maybe worse at all than any of those guys.
No, that's good value for
I
sure.
think it's a great value pick at plus 1100. So if I'm looking at futures on the AL Cy Young, I'm picking that one up. And then, Paul Skeens, man. I mean, how do you bet against it this year? The guy was absolutely unbelievable. He's adding more pitches. He's plus 200, and the next closest is Zach Wheeler at plus 600. Go pick him up now, because halfway through the season, if you're trying to find that Cy Young award, he might be minus money, dude. He might be minus money. So those would be my futures. So I think I feel pretty good about him. Feel pretty good.
Yeah, I like him. I love the plus 1100. I can't believe that for Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, I don't know how you get better than that, honestly, from a value standpoint. So we do want to talk a little opening day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to.
Let's talk a little opening day bets. So, look, man, so much baseball on tomorrow. It's like a real opening day, which I feel like we get these little teasers here and there, the Japan series and and some years you get the opening days like 2 games the day before opening day, and it's just like, just give it all to me at once, right? So this year we've got more or less a full slate. I've got some favorites here, or at least my favorite bets of the day.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you these as individual bets, and then I'm gonna tell you what the parlayed amount is.
Okay.
So my favorite bet of the day, and we're gonna go right back to Paul Skeens.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Skeens is going up against the Marlins lineup, who is putrid. I mean, they might as well be a AAA affiliate team.
Mm-hmm.
And they set his line at 6.5 strikeouts. I'll be honest, I was intending for it to be 7.5 strikeouts, and I was going to take that. So 6.5, I'm going over 6.5 strikeouts at a minus 162. And then I'm going to subsequently take the Pirates money line at minus 148. Both of those just feel like absolute money. I think Skeens could hit 7 strikeouts in 3 innings with that lineup. I mean, they just don't scare me. And then my next one is going to be the Dodgers at a minus 1.5 run line.
Love it.
On the spread. And we're getting plus money. So I know Scooble's on the mound, but they're going to be out in LA. Place is going to be rocking. 2 runs, a 2-run win at plus money, and with the Dodgers pitching Blake Snell. I like it. So, your parlayed amount here is going to be a 465 plus 465. So $10 to win $46.50. If you can basically quadruple your money on a bet that I almost want to say can't lose, but it is what it is. Now, this is not betting advice. I'm just telling you, these are my bets, and I'm telling you right now, I love this parlay. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I have a very similar one, which is a plus 847 4-game parlay. You got Phillies money line, Pirates money line, Dodgers minus 1.5, Mariners money line. Go make your money.
Yeah. Mariners are going to knock that one out too. I feel pretty good about them. I think they're against the A's at home. Severino's pitching for the A's, which be his first start there. Logan Gilbert's on the bump, man. I don't see them losing that game. I love that. My line right there on the Mariners is minus 164 right now on FanDuel. Mm-hmm. So you could pretty much put that one in if you didn't like any of those other legs of the parlay, or
add it.
Yeah. We're at it. We're at it. Now, those are my favorites for opening day. I love it. I love your picks. I think we're gonna make some money tomorrow. There are a few games out there that I don't even want to consider looking at. They almost make my stomach hurt when I look at them. I wouldn't even consider putting money on them. And what we're gonna call this is the burnt toast bet. This is gonna be the burnt toast bet. This is a bet that we will not touch. My pick for this is gonna be the Atlanta Braves at the San Diego Padres.
Yep.
All the way out in San Diego. Chris Sale on the bump. Michael King on the bump. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I don't want to touch it. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. You got two really good lineups. And with Atlanta having to go all the way, they're the better team. They're the better team, but they got to go all the way over to San Diego for their opening day game. It's going to be weird, man. That's a weird game. I don't love it. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, that was my close second. My number one for tomorrow is the Rangers and Red Sox in Arlington. You got Nathan Eovaldi. He always throws good against his old team. You got Crochet. I think he will do well, but then he turns it over to the bullpen, and does the Ranger offense get a hold of him then? I don't want nothing to do with it.
I agree.
Nothing to do with it.
Both teams are minus odds for the money line. That's never a good sign, man. Stay away from those games. Stay away from those games. All right, and let's close it out with, this is going to be just gut feel. We have not done enough research. We've not even seen a game played yet. But let's close this thing out. Give me your prediction, World Series champion, right here on the first episode of Toast Sports Baseball.
I got the Texas Rangers playing the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Los Angeles Dodgers going back-to-back for the first time since 2000.
All right. That is definitely something. I have a similar team in there, but it's not the one you're thinking. I've got the Rangers, but I've got the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
I've got the Atlanta Braves taking home the hardware. I
like it.
When I look at that lineup, man, they're so scary. They're so scary. If they stay healthy, I think there's no way that they wouldn't be at least in the mix at the end of the year. Yeah, why not? Why not the Braves, man? Why not?
I love it. I hope Chris Sale can repeat. I love Chris Sale. So baseball's better when he's healthy. So
no doubt. All right, well, that's going to do it for our very first episode of Toast Sports Baseball. Huge shout out to everybody that tuned in. We've got a really long season ahead. We're just getting started. If you guys like what you heard, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a quick rating for us. Give us a review. Tell us how good or bad we did. We love constructive criticism here. It does seriously help more than you guys know, though. We'll be back soon next week. We'll have some more takes, some more fancy tips. Hopefully we just have a wild opening day tomorrow. So appreciate it. Enjoy opening day, cash some bets, and as always, stay toasty.